You are now listening to the Flurry podcast hosted by Marquise Rawls. Another episode of the Flurry podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the mental aspect of boxing because I saw two fights over the weekend and both of these fighters were mentally defeated before they even stepped into the ring. And the first one is the big one that everyone's talking about that came on Saturday on the Zone between Canelo versus Yildirim. Obviously, going into the fight, we all knew Canelo was going to win. He's the bigger name. He's the better fighter. He's, in some people's eyes, the pound-for-pound number one fighter in the world. In Yildirim, he's just a mandatory contender. So everyone sort of knew that Canelo was going to win. What I didn't expect was Yildirim to just fold. He folded. He was mentally defeated before he even came in, and after round one, he practically gave up after round one. He tried to establish his jab. Once he realized, oh, Canelo is parrying and countering every jab that I throw, okay, I'm not going to throw my jab no more. And when he doesn't throw his jab, he can't set up big shots. He can't follow up with combinations. He couldn't get his offense going. So after round one, he basically just gave up and he just stopped throwing altogether. Now let me just read you some of the stats of this short 3-round fight. Total punches landed by Canelo, 67. Total punches landed by Yildirim, 11. Total power punches landed by Canelo, 58. Total power punches landed by Yildirim, 4. And you're probably thinking, oh, Canelo landed more because he's the elite skilled boxer and he's more accurate. Yes, that is true, but Yildirim, he just wasn't fucking throwing. He wasn't throwing. You can't land if you're not throwing. He didn't do anything. After round one, he basically was a standstill punching bag. He didn't try to block. Well, he did block, but Canelo's good enough to where he could go around and through your defense and find holes within your defense. So that wasn't working. He didn't use no head movement. He didn't feel like moving or anything. He didn't try to counter. He did absolutely nothing after round one. He just stood there and took it because he was mentally defeated. And when you're mentally defeated, you go into the ring and you don't want to do anything. Your mindset is just thinking, let me get this over with. And that's what he was thinking. Let me get this fight over with. Canelo knocked him down. He got up. His legs wasn't all the way there. He didn't look too messed up. It looked like to me he could have continued on if he really wanted to, but he didn't want to. He went back to his corner. He sat down, and his coach or trainer, whoever the guy was who was giving him instructions, told him, if you don't show me something this next round, I'm going to stop the fight. Yildirim didn't respond at all. His coach was like, do you hear me? Are you understanding what I'm telling you? He's asking him, yo, respond to what I'm saying. Yildirim didn't want to respond. He didn't want to respond, not because he was messed up from the knockdown or he was buzzed or dazed. It's because he didn't want to fucking continue. He didn't want to continue because he was mentally defeated before the fight even started. And that same aspect was when I saw Dominic Breazeale fight Otto Wallin. It came on last week with the Broner undercard, but I didn't watch it then, and I waited, I prolonged it, and I finally watched it. And Dominic Breazeale was mentally defeated before he came into that fight. Now I know Dominic Breazeale, he's not that fast, but he has, some good power that has helped him beat a lot of pretty good fighters. And he's coming up that devastating loss to Deontay Wilder. And that loss, it ruined him. He came into the fight. He didn't look like he was in any real conditioning. He didn't look like he had any game plan, any strategy or anything. He didn't even look like he was motivated to win the fight. And it's the same thing with him. He was mentally defeated before he came into the fight. Now he was strong-willed enough or prideful enough not to throw in the towel or quit like Yildirim did. The mental aspect of it was that he didn't want to be in that fight. He didn't really try. Otto Wallin was kicking his ass for damn near 9 fucking rounds, and he responded by just taking it. He just took it. That's an important part of boxing. You have to come mentally prepared. You have to come in with confidence, knowing that you can win the fight no matter who's standing in front of you. And the matter of fact is, when you are mentally defeated, you already lost the fight before you even step in the ring. So, just do what you have to do to come mentally prepared, whether it's be, doing the proper training to have more confidence and faith in your skills and your abilities and your knowledge and your ring IQ. Eating good so you know that you're in your peak form or peak performance. Just doing the proper research on your opponent so you know their movements, their tactics, their habits and everything, so you could create a good game plan and a good strategy. And just be prepared as much as possible. I think that's one of the keys to not being mentally defeated before you come into a fight. But I'm no boxer, so don't take my advice. That's all for this episode. Nice, short, and sweet. Peace, King. You were just listening to the Flurry podcast hosted by Marquise Rawls. Come back for the next episode or go back and listen to the previous ones if you haven't done so. I know this episode is usually over after this, but I just want to add, this fight with Canelo versus Yildirim, I'm so disappointed. I'm very upset that the fight happened the way it was. I knew Canelo was gonna win, but I was really hoping that Yildirim, he provided some opposition. He provided some pushback, but he just fucking folded, man. I'm disappointed in him. Fuck this fucking fight, man. Real talk, fuck this fucking fight. I'm never watching that shit ever again. Give me the Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders fight right in the fucking now. We need to make up for that bullshit we just saw Saturday.